You ever notice how life has this strange way of preparing you for moments you never saw coming? Like you're walking through the same routine, dealing with the same frustrations, carrying the same weight on your shoulders, and then something shifts. Not dramatically, not with fireworks or grand revelations, but quietly, almost imperceptibly, like dawn breaking over a landscape you've been navigating in darkness for years. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for permission. Permission to change. Permission to speak up. Permission to stop apologizing for taking up space in their own existence. They move through their days like actors in a play they never auditioned for, reading lines written by someone else, hoping that if they perform well enough, if they please the right people, if they shrink themselves down to the perfect size, then maybe, just maybe, they'll earn the right to be happy. But here's what nobody tells you about that game. It's rigged from the start. The more you play by rules that were never designed for your benefit, the further you drift from who you actually are. Every time you bite your tongue when you should speak, every time you say yes when your soul is screaming no, every time you choose comfort over truth, you're not just avoiding conflict, you're avoiding yourself. Think about it. When was the last time you made a decision based purely on what you wanted, not what others expected? When did you last speak your truth without calculating the social cost? When did you last choose the path that felt right instead of the one that felt safe? The silence in your head right now, that hesitation as you try to answer these questions, that's not coincidence. That's recognition. Because deep down, you know you've been living someone else's version of your life. And the weight of that realization is both terrifying and liberating. See, there's a difference between people who drift through life reacting to everything around them, and those who seem untouchable, unshakable, immune to the chaos that sends everyone else spinning. The difference isn't luck. It's not some magical gift they were born with. And it's definitely not because they figured out how to control the world around them. The difference is they stopped trying to control things that were never theirs to control in the first place. Most people exhaust themselves trying to manage other people's opinions, other people's emotions, other people's reactions. They live in a constant state of vigilance, monitoring every word, every gesture, every choice through the lens of how it might be perceived. They've turned their entire existence into a performance, and they're so busy managing the show that they forget there's a person behind the curtain. But what if you could step off that stage? What if you could stop performing and start living? What if the very thing you've been taught to fear, the disapproval of others, the risk of rejection, the possibility of standing alone, what if that's actually the door to your freedom? This isn't about becoming selfish or callous. It's not about burning bridges or hurting people just to prove a point. It's about something far more radical and far more necessary. It's about reclaiming your right to exist as you are, not as others need you to be. The world is full of people who've forgotten they have a choice. They've been conditioned to believe that their value depends on external validation, that their worth is determined by how well they fit into boxes designed by others. They've confused being liked with being respected, being accommodating with being kind, being quiet with being wise. But accommodation without boundaries isn't kindness. It's self-abandonment. Silence in the face of injustice isn't wisdom. It's complicity. And being liked by everyone usually means you've diluted yourself so much that there's nothing authentic left to like. The people who seem immune to the chaos around them, who move through conflict without losing their center, who can face criticism without crumbling, have learned something most people never discover. They've learned that their peace of mind is not negotiable. They've learned that their energy is not a renewable resource to be given away to anyone who demands it. They've learned that saying no to others often means saying yes to themselves. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not a switch you flip or a decision you make once. It's a practice, a daily choice, to stop outsourcing your sense of self to a world that doesn't even know what it wants from you. Think about the last time someone tried to provoke you, to get under your skin, to make you react. Did you take the bait? Did you spend hours replaying the interaction, crafting the perfect comeback, letting their words occupy space in your mind, rent-free? Or did you recognize it for what it was, someone else's issue projected onto you, and let it pass through you like wind through an open window? The difference between these two responses isn't about being strong or weak. It's about understanding where your power actually lies. Your power isn't in controlling how others behave. It's in controlling how you respond to their behavior. Your power isn't in making everyone like you. It's in being so grounded in who you are that their approval becomes irrelevant. Most people give their power away without even realizing it. They hand over their peace of mind to strangers on the internet, to coworkers who thrive on drama, to family members who've never learned healthy boundaries. They let their mood be dictated by traffic, by weather, by the tone of an email, by whether someone texted them back quickly enough. But what if you could become immune to all of that? What if you could move through your day knowing that your sense of self isn't dependent on external circumstances? What if you could face rejection, criticism, even betrayal, without losing your center? This isn't about becoming emotionally numb or disconnected. It's about developing the kind of inner stability that allows you to feel everything without being controlled by any of it. It's about learning to observe your emotions without being hijacked by them, to acknowledge pain without being defined by it, to experience joy without needing to cling to it. The people who've mastered this art, they're not superhuman. They're not born with some special gene that makes them naturally resilient. They've simply learned to distinguish between what's theirs to carry and what belongs to someone else. They've learned to respond instead of react, to choose instead of default, to create instead of just survive. And here's the beautiful paradox. The less you need from others, the more they tend to respect you. The less you seek approval, the more authentic approval you receive. The less you try to control outcomes, the more influence you actually have. This happens because when you stop being desperate for validation, you stop making decisions from a place of fear. When you're not constantly worried about how others will react, you can focus on what actually matters. When you're not trying to be everything to everyone, you can be fully yourself with the people who truly matter. But getting to this place requires facing some uncomfortable truths about how you've been living. It requires acknowledging the ways you've betrayed yourself for the sake of keeping peace. It requires recognizing the patterns you've been repeating, the stories you've been telling yourself, the excuses you've been making for staying small. Most people would rather stay comfortable in their dysfunction than face the discomfort of change. They'd rather complain about their circumstances than take responsibility for their choices. They'd rather blame others for their unhappiness than do the hard work of reclaiming their power. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here reading this, feeling that stirring in your chest that says, there has to be another way. You wouldn't be questioning the patterns that have kept you stuck, the beliefs that have kept you small, the fears that have kept you from fully showing up in your own life. The message you've been waiting for isn't coming from outside. It's not going to arrive in the form of permission from others or validation from the world. It's already here, rising from the depths of your own knowing, reminding you of who you were before the world told you who you should be. You have everything you need to step into your power. You have everything you need to stop giving your energy away to people or situations that don't deserve it. You have everything you need to start living from the inside out instead of the outside in. The question isn't whether you're capable of this transformation. The question is whether you're ready to stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to be yourself. Because that permission was never theirs to give in the first place. The shift from seeking external validation to living authentically isn't just a decision you make once. It's a practice that requires constant vigilance, especially when the old patterns try to creep back in. Here's what most people don't realize about this journey. The moment you start living from your authentic center, the world begins testing you. It's like the universe wants to see if you're serious about this new way of being. People who once relied on your predictable responses suddenly don't know how to categorize you. Some will respect this change, others will resist it. But here's the thing about resistance. It's not actually about you. When someone reacts strongly to your newfound authenticity, they're often confronting their own lack of courage to live truthfully. Your freedom becomes a mirror reflecting their own imprisonment, and that makes them uncomfortable. This is why staying committed to your authentic path requires unwavering self-trust. You'll face moments where choosing the easy route of people-pleasing seems tempting. The old, familiar comfort of external validation will whisper sweet lies about safety and belonging. But remember, that safety is an illusion. True security comes from knowing who you are and refusing to compromise that knowledge for temporary acceptance. The people who are meant to be in your life will adapt to your authenticity. They'll respect your boundaries and appreciate your honesty. The ones who can't handle your genuine self were never truly for you anyway. This isn't cruel. It's simply the natural sorting process that happens when you stop performing and start being. Your authentic life will also attract new people, individuals who value depth over surface charm, substance over social theater. These connections feel different because they're built on truth rather than mutual performance. There's less drama, less confusion, and more genuine understanding. But the most profound change isn't in your relationships with others, it's in your relationship with yourself. When you're no longer constantly monitoring external reactions, you have energy to invest in your own growth. You become curious about your genuine preferences, your real dreams, your actual values. You start making choices based on your internal compass rather than external pressure. This internal shift creates a ripple effect. Your work becomes more meaningful because you're bringing your whole self to it. Your decisions become clearer because you're not trying to please competing interests. Your peace becomes more stable because it's not dependent on circumstances beyond your control. The fear of disappointing others gradually transforms into something more powerful, the fear of disappointing yourself. This isn't about perfectionism or harsh self-judgment. It's about maintaining integrity with your deepest values and commitments. Living authentically doesn't mean you become inflexible or inconsiderate. It means you operate from a place of genuine choice rather than unconscious reaction. You can still be kind, generous, and collaborative, but these qualities emerge from your authentic nature, not from a desperate need to be liked. The ultimate paradox is this: the less you need others' approval, the more genuinely likable you become. People are drawn to authenticity because it's rare and refreshing. When someone encounters a person who's comfortable in their own skin, who speaks their truth without apology, who sets boundaries without guilt, it's magnetic. This isn't about becoming perfect or never making mistakes. It's about being real, being present, and being willing to show up as yourself, regardless of how others respond. It's about trusting that your authentic self is worthy of love, respect, and belonging. The message that reaches you when you're finally ready isn't complex or mystical. It's simple. You already have everything you need to live authentically. The permission, the strength, the wisdom, it's all already within you. You don't need to wait for better circumstances, more confidence, or external validation. You're ready now. You've always been ready.